you control the food, you control the people. If you control the energy, you control countries. And if you control money, you control the world. I mean, I think it'll be similar in the sense that, back in the late 90s, everything was .com and they were getting these billion-dollar valuations. It is true that the internet was the future, but not all those companies. 99% of them go bust. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll most likely be the same with crypto. There will come, maybe Bitcoin, Ethereum will come out winners in the long run and will be here. I don't know what purpose they'll serve. I don't know if they'll be transactional in the case of Bitcoin or be more of a digital reserve asset, store value. I'm not quite sure, what place it'll play, but I think it'll most likely play out the same way the dot-com bubble burst in the 1990s. I mean, you look at books like 1984 and Atlas Shrugged, and you see, my gosh, how on earth could they have seen this coming? These were supposed to be fictional books, but they predicted the future and what we're living through now. I think it's just because, to your earlier point, history repeats. Or if it doesn't repeat exactly, it rhymes. I mean, I was doing a lot of research just over the last couple of days on World War I and how World War I started. And it is eerily similar to what we're seeing. The Weimar Republic. Well, that was World War II. And as far as their hyperinflation. But World War I was really the lesser known altcoins that they think are going to or have the potential to go up 1,000x, and they're trying to be the next superstar on Instagram, billionaire or whatever that gets rich in crypto, and then they just get completely wiped out, and it gives them that very, very difficult lesson that young investors have had to learn throughout the ages, that it's not different this time. To your earlier point, right. I think articulated it beautifully in the Market Wizards books, where he says you've just got to buy panic and sell hysteria. And sometimes, you can tell when there's hysteria, and when Bitcoin was at 65,000. And now I'm long-term bullish on Bitcoin.
Me too.
But you got to pick and choose when you buy based on that panic and hysteria. And there was I was seeing it on Twitter nonstop. I was seeing it in social media. I was seeing it in all these chat rooms like Clubhouse, where the hysteria was just mind-boggling. I mean, we've got to understand that central planning, or Marxism, as you always say, this is a very, very slippery slope. This is the road to ruin. Or as Jim Rogers says, this is the quick path to the poorhouse. We need to understand that free market capitalism is not perfect, but it's the best system we have to raise this standard of living for the poor and middle class. The crazy thing is they're trying to use inflation as a reason to tax the rich. And it's just completely perverse, because the way you solve consumer price inflation
produce more. Is,
like we were saying, by producing more stuff. And, if you're taxing all the people that are producing, are we going to have less stuff in the future? We're going to have more stuff. No. I really want to beat this dead horse because I think it's important. We are experiencing global consumer price inflation right now, not just this is a huge, huge problem. A problem that we haven't seen since the 19th. A central bank digital currency simply means that we all the average Joes and Janes in society, including the businesses and corporations, now have an account with the central bank. In our case, it would be the Federal Reserve. It's absolutely 100% central planning. Because what happens now is the banking system is in charge of creating most of the new money. Now, it's a little bit different with these deficits and quantitative easing and whatnot. But usually it's the banking system. So if they keep that loan on their balance, if the bank continues to own the loan, they want to lend to someone who's going to pay them back, right?
Really?
So hopefully they're going to lend it for productive purposes, meaning the majority of money that's being created is going to create more goods and services.
Right.
And that's why you don't have the inflation, even though the money supply increases. Now, what happens...
It's called capitalism.
Yeah, and that's why the free market works.
Right.
So, and that's, by the way, why the free market creates deflation.
Right.
Not inflation.
Exactly.
Prices going down. If we move into the system with a central bank digital currency, then all the bank accounts go to the Fed, and then the Fed determines who gets the loan and why. And the big key there is the Fed doesn't have a profit and loss. They can lose money. So where a bank has to lend productively, the Fed can lend in a way that isn't productive. They can lend to whomever they want. They don't have to worry about being paid back. So that's centrally controlled money supply, debt creation. And that, to your point, is Marxism. So going back to the IMF and this gal that's in charge that was speaking at Davos, she was saying how we need a central bank digital currency, and the global governments need to come together. And of course, the IMF would manage this in the World Economic Forum, but they need to come together to create a solution for cross-border payments. This is how she's selling it, is that all these poor people have to pay Western Union, 20% fee or whatever. And she's right, but she doesn't care about that. She just cares about the solution, which is the global governments coming together with this payment system for cross-border that's seamless and free. But, of course, we're using a central bank digital currency, and then the reserve asset becomes the SDR, which is the currency of the IMF.
Special drawing rights.
They have control over the money supply, and it's not the system we have now with the United States having the global reserve asset or the global reserve currency and the banking system creating that currency globally. And they want it for their children.
Right.
Where these Davos types, they want the opposite. They want complete centralization because they think that all of us are inferior, stupid, dumb rubes. And, we're only going to make things worse. So we need to give them all of our freedoms, all of our liberties. They need to have complete control to be able to micromanage our life. And that's the only way that, in their minds, that we're going to survive.